When I first met Robert, he was 74. He had that quiet dignity that men of his generation often carry, a man who built things with his hands, who'd never asked for help in his life. But that morning he sat across from me, his voice low, and said, "Doc, my legs don't listen to me anymore." He wasn't talking about pain. He was talking about trust, the trust between his mind and his body, between wanting to move and being able to. The stairs that used to mean nothing now made him pause halfway up. Getting out of bed in the morning took a little longer. And at night he was jolted awake by those cruel cramps that twist the muscles like someone's turning a key inside them. Like so many others, Robert thought it was just part of getting old, a slow surrender of strength. But I told him something few people ever hear. What's weakening your legs isn't just time, it's what's happening while you sleep. Most people think healing happens at night, and in many ways it does. But for millions of older adults, the night becomes a thief. After 8 long hours without nourishment, the body still needs energy to keep your heart beating, your brain alive. So it starts searching, and it finds it in the biggest muscles you own, your legs. Every morning, a tiny piece of strength is gone. But here's the miracle. What's lost can be rebuilt. Your body still remembers how to heal. It's written in your cells. You just have to give it the right message at the right time before you close your eyes. A few weeks after that first visit, Robert came back to see me. He said, "Doc, I feel like my legs are sending the wrong messages. I want to walk steady, but my feet don't seem to get the signal anymore." That single sentence held the key. You see, the body doesn't just move with muscle, it moves through communication. Every step you take begins as a tiny electrical message traveling from your brain, down your spine, into the nerves that feed your legs. When that message gets weak or fuzzy, your legs stop responding the way they used to. That's when I suspected something deeper, not a muscle problem, but a signal problem. We ran a few simple tests, and the results were clear. Robert was severely deficient in vitamin B12. Now, most people think of B12 as just another vitamin, but to me, it's one of the most powerful tools in the human body. It builds and repairs the myelin sheath, that delicate insulation around your nerves, like the plastic coating on an electrical wire. Without it, the signals from your brain start to fade, slow down, or misfire. And here's what many don't realize. After 60, the stomach produces less acid. That means you can eat all the meat and fish you want and still not absorb enough B12. Some medications, especially for heartburn, make it even harder. So I gave Robert a new nightly ritual, a small sublingual B12 tablet, the kind that melts under your tongue. I told him to take it 30 minutes before bed. It bypasses the stomach entirely, sending that vital nutrient straight into the bloodstream, ready to rebuild the connections between brain and muscle while he sleeps. He smiled and said, "You really think something that small can change everything?" And I told him, "Robert, sometimes the smallest signal can wake up the entire system." 2 months later, Robert walked back into my office, standing taller. He had that quiet, almost disbelieving smile that people wear when something inside them has changed. "Doc," he said, "the tingling's gone. I don't wobble when I get out of bed anymore." It wasn't a miracle. It was biology, finally working the way it was designed to. B12 had restored the communication lines, the bridge between his brain and his legs. But there was still more to rebuild. When I looked at him, I thought about something I often tell my patients. Your muscles are not just flesh and fibers. They're sensors, waiting for light. I'm not talking about sunlight. I'm talking about vitamin D3, what I like to call the light inside the body. You see, every muscle cell is covered in tiny receptors, like keyholes called vitamin D receptors, or VDRs. And D3 is the key that fits perfectly. When that key turns, your muscle fibers tighten with strength, balance returns, and your body remembers how to move with confidence. But here's the catch. Over 70% of older adults are deficient in D3. The keyholes stay empty. The body forgets its own signal for strength, and the best time to fix that isn't in the morning, it's at night. Why? Because during deep sleep, your body releases its highest levels of natural growth hormone, the very hormone that rebuilds and repairs muscle tissue. So when you take vitamin D3 before bed, even just 2,000 to 4,000 IU with a few almonds or a small spoonful of peanut butter, you unlock those receptors just as your body begins its nightly repair cycle. I told Robert, you don't need to fight time, you just need to work with it. And for the first time in years, he started waking up feeling stronger than when he went to bed. About a year ago, before Robert and I ever met, he had already been taking vitamin D3 faithfully. Every morning, one soft gel with his breakfast. But even after a year, his legs still felt heavy, his knees ached, and the stiffness never really left. When he told me that, I smiled gently and said, Robert, you've been sending in the workers, but not the supervisor. You see, vitamin D3 is like a strong builder. It pulls calcium out of your food and into your blood, ready to strengthen your bones and muscles. But without vitamin K2, that calcium has no direction. It can drift into the wrong places, the joints, the arteries, causing stiffness, pain, even hardening over time. That's where K2 steps in. K2 is the traffic director of your body's calcium. It tells calcium, you, go to the bones and teeth. You, stay out of the arteries and joints. It's a quiet, unseen guardian, but it makes all the difference. I asked Robert to add a small dose of vitamin K2, MK7 form, to his nightly routine, taken right alongside his D3. Nothing else changed. No new pills, no fancy treatments, just that one missing partner. 8 weeks later, he came back with a different look in his eyes. He said, Doc, the deep ache in my knees. It's gone. When I walk upstairs now, I don't feel like I'm pulling myself up. My legs actually push me. It wasn't just strength returning, it was harmony. The body finally remembering how to work as one whole system again. When K2 joins D3, calcium stops being chaos and becomes construction. After Robert's strength began to return, I asked him a question. Would you like to make your sleep do the heavy lifting for you? He laughed and said, Doc, if I can build muscle while I'm asleep, sign me up. That's when I explained what I call the nightly leg repair protocol. It's not a miracle, it's a rhythm, a way of syncing your body's natural nighttime cycles with 3 powerful allies, vitamin B12, vitamin D3, and vitamin K2. First comes B12, the messenger. Take it about 30 minutes before bed, a small sublingual tablet that melts under your tongue. This tiny ritual wakes up the nervous system and strengthens the bridge between your brain and your legs, preparing your body to communicate clearly while you sleep. Next comes D3 and K2, the partners. They work best together, like light and direction. D3 activates your muscle fibers, while K2 guides calcium to the right places, keeping your bones strong and your joints supple. I told Robert to take them 20-30 minutes before bed, with a small snack. just a spoonful of almond butter or a few walnuts. That bit of healthy fat helps both vitamins absorb better right before his body releases its natural growth hormone during deep sleep. He nodded quietly, the way someone does when something finally clicks. And I said, "That's it, Robert. You've just turned your nights from a time of loss into a time of rebuilding." Because healing after 60 isn't about doing more. It's about doing smarter. It's about letting your body do what it's always known how to do, if only we give it the chance. When Robert came in a few weeks later, he looked different, not just stronger, calmer. There was light in his voice again. He said, "Doc, those vitamins, they're helping, but is there something more I can do to make it last?" I smiled. There always is, Robert. Healing is not just what you take, it's what you create around it. There are 3 quiet habits that prepare your body to heal. The way soil must be soft before the seed can grow. The first one is hydration, done with care. Most people think of water as something simple, but inside your body, water is the river that carries every nutrient to where it belongs. When you're even slightly dehydrated, that river slows. The blood thickens. The vitamins you've taken can't reach the muscles that need them most. So drink slowly throughout the day. Let your body stay nourished, and then stop about an hour before bed so your rest remains peaceful. The second habit is a gentler dinner. Healing can't happen when your body is too busy digesting. So instead of a heavy, starchy meal, choose something light, a bit of fish, a few vegetables, a small serving of protein. Your body will thank you with a deeper sleep and a quieter night. And the third, my favorite, is 5 mindful minutes of movement. Before bed, sit at the edge of your bed and gently stretch your legs. Circle your ankles. Rise softly on your toes. It's not exercise, it's a message. A way of saying to your body, "I'm still here, I still care." Robert did it every night. He told me later, "Doc, those 5 minutes feel like a prayer." And I think in a way they were, a simple act of gratitude for legs that still carry him forward. One morning, Robert called my office. His voice was different, steady, almost joyful. He said, "Doc, I just climbed the stairs without holding the rail. I haven't done that in years." That moment stays with me because it's never just about the stairs. It's about what the body whispers back when you finally start listening to it. You see, those 3 small habits, hydration, a light dinner, and 5 minutes of movement, seem simple. But inside the body, they create something extraordinary. They tell your system, it's safe to heal now. During the night, when your body slips into deep sleep, your cells enter their quiet rhythm of repair. Your muscles knit back together. Your nerves rebuild their coating. But they can only do that when the environment inside you is peaceful, hydrated, calm, and supplied with the nutrients they need. That's what those 3 habits do. They remove the noise. When you sip water gently through the day, you give your blood the flow it needs to carry oxygen and vitamins into every corner. When you eat lightly before bed, your body doesn't waste energy on digestion. It turns inward toward restoration. And when you move softly before sleep, you invite circulation, telling your legs, "You're still alive. I haven't forgotten you." Robert told me, "It's like my legs woke up before I did." And I smiled, because that's what healing really is. Not magic, but permission. Permission for your body to do what it's always known how to do. Once you stop rushing it and start caring for it again. I often tell my patients that the night isn't just a time to rest. It's a time to repair. When the world quiets down and the heart slows its rhythm, your body begins its most sacred work. Inside every cell, a silent laboratory comes alive. Proteins are rebuilt, nerve coatings are restored, damaged muscle fibers are stitched back together one by one. It's as if the body waits all day just to do its healing after the lights go out. But here's the truth most people never hear. Healing doesn't just depend on what's broken. It depends on the environment you give your body to heal in. If you go to bed dehydrated, your bloodstream moves sluggishly, starving your muscles of oxygen. If you fall asleep after a heavy meal, your body spends the night digesting instead of rebuilding. And if your legs have been still for too long, circulation slows, and nutrients can't reach where they're needed. That's why the combination of vitamins and habits matters so deeply. B12 restores the messages. D3 fuels the muscle fibers. K2 guides calcium to the right places, and those three gentle habits, hydration, light eating and movement, open the gates for that process to work perfectly while you sleep. Robert told me one night, "Doc, it feels like my body is finally working with me, not against me." And I thought, that's the whole point. Healing after 60 isn't about resisting time. It's about cooperating with the quiet wisdom already written in your biology. When you learn to do that, your nights stop taking from you and start giving back. 6 months after we began his nightly protocol, Robert walked into my clinic with a quiet kind of pride. Not the kind that boasts, but the kind that remembers. He sat down, smiled, and said, "Doc, I went out to the garden this morning. I carried the watering can, both hands, all the way across the yard. No pain, no wobble, just steady." That word, steady, meant everything. Because strength isn't only about muscle. It's about the confidence that your body will still catch you when you stand. When we get older, we don't lose strength overnight. We lose trust in it, little by little. Every ache whispers, "Be careful." Every stumble makes us hesitate, and over time, that hesitation becomes a habit. But what Robert discovered was this: the body doesn't forget how to heal. It just needs the right conditions to remember. Night after night, his legs stopped being the victim of sleep. They became its greatest beneficiary. B12 reconnected his nerves. D3 reawakened his muscle fibers. K2 restored the integrity of his joints and bones. And those small nightly habits, water, lighter meals, and gentle movement, created a quiet space for it all to happen. He told me, "Doc, I used to wake up feeling older every day. Now I wake up feeling renewed." That's the miracle of consistency. Not a sudden transformation, but a gentle turning from decline back toward vitality. And for Robert, that shift meant more than stronger legs. It meant reclaiming his independence and the simple sacred joy of trusting his own body again. When I think of Robert now, I don't just see a patient, I see a reminder. A reminder that healing isn't something we chase, it's something we allow. That even in our 70s, our bodies are not finished stories. They're still editing, still rewriting, still capable of surprise. Robert once told me, "Doc, I used to dread the night. It felt like the time when I grew weaker. Now it feels like my body's favorite part of the day." And that, to me, is the heart of this message. Because the night, that quiet, overlooked stretch of hours, can either drain you or rebuild you. It all depends on how you meet it. If you go to bed unprepared, your body searches for fuel in the dark, and it takes from the legs that carry you. But when you nourish it, when you fill it with the right tools, B12 to repair your nerves, D3 to awaken your muscles, K2 to guide your minerals. You transform the night from an enemy into an ally. And then you add the little rituals, a sip of water through the day, a lighter meal, a few gentle movements before sleep. They're small acts, yes, but so are the roots that hold up the tallest trees. I've seen hundreds of patients like Robert, each believing their decline was inevitable, until they realized it wasn't, because aging doesn't mean losing your strength. It means learning how to give it back to yourself. So tonight, before you turn out the light, pause, take your vitamins, stretch your legs softly, whisper a little gratitude to the body that has carried you this far. Then close your eyes knowing this: your night no longer has to steal from you. It can restore you, cell by cell, heartbeat by heartbeat, until the morning greets you not weaker, but renewed. Because healing never stops with age. It only waits for you to remember how to begin.